28 hours and change from the official start of the 2025 NBA season, people. The Rockets will open the season against the reigning champs in OKC to tip things off. And speaking of Houston, big news yesterday morning. Kevin Durant will enter the season with a brand new contract extension, 2 years and $90 million. All right, George Sedano here for Malika Andrews, joined by our senior writer, Ramona Shelburne, the Hall of Famer Mark Spears, and our senior NBA insider, Shams Charania. So, Shams, tell us about this deal with KD.
So this deal essentially sets Kevin Durant up to retire in Houston. That's the goal that Durant has set in his mind. That's the goal the Rockets have with it. And so it was important to get this deal done before the start of the regular season. That's what Kevin Durant wanted. That's what the organization wanted. And so he was eligible for a 2-year, $120 million max contract. But with this $90 million deal, he takes a $30 million discount, a significant amount. And it's something that Durant understood when he decided on the Rockets, the Spurs, the Heat as his preferred trade destinations back in June from that trade in Phoenix, that he was going to end up having to sacrifice in this second apron era whatever team he ends up with. So he has 3 years, $145 million total on his Rockets deal. And as we see right there, yes, he gave up some money, but he now has become the highest career earner in NBA history, surpassed LeBron James by about $15 million. Now, Stephen Curry's on his heels. Yeah. Devin Booker's already like in the top 5, and he's only 28 years old. So, but right now, Kevin Durant, and he's obviously now going to turn 37 here soon, and his goal is to retire in Houston.
That's a heck of an accomplishment. Although, to your point, there's always going to be bigger and bigger contracts. Ramona, what are your thoughts?
Look, he's taken less before. He did that in Golden State. One of those years, $10 million less. And I think that when you talk about Kevin and how he wants to win, he just put his money where his mouth is. Like he said, I want to win and I'm willing to take less to keep this core together. And I mean, just look at those numbers. And we've seen other players, especially at this age and in that bracket, right, where you get to have that big raise and you can make $60 million a year. He's making 43 and 46.
Right.
That's a huge reduction that he gave the Houston Rockets to help build that team out around him.
You know, I think with Fred VanVleet being out, this is going to have to be the biggest leadership situation in Kevin's career. If you think about all the other places, there was always somebody else, or he was just too young. With Fred out, I mean, every game, Kevin is going to have these guys ready. Every game, he's going to have to push them. Artie Smith is like basically connected to him like Ant-Man was in the Olympics, trying to, grow. And so to me, I'm excited to see what Kevin can build to his legacy here. It's obvious that this looks like the last stop in his career. But, can he make this the place that's home? Can he finally have a home, finish with a home?
Listen, he started in Texas in college, and now he could finish it in Texas as well. All right, Durant taking less was even news to his teammates. Check out Amen Thompson's reaction here.
Veterans like Kevin and Fred take relative discounts. How does that make you feel that, there's more to go around for young players?
Take what?
Take relative discounts. Kevin took below the max.
Oh, bro, I don't even know that.
So he was eligible for 2 at 120. He took 2 for 90.
Generous guy.
We all knew when we traded for him, and when he came, he wasn't a short-term thing. Nobody planned that, and so good to get to a point where everybody's happy and hopefully finish his career here.
All right, Coach Ime Udoka there saying he hopes KD finishes his career in Houston, as we just discussed. So, Ramona, is this the final stop? Do you believe that to be the case?
I do. I think the fact that he signed up for 2 more years at this level, but also I think you're sacrificing for this team and for this organization. And I know players always like to say, I want to win. I'm doing this so that we can win. I mean, we see in Los Angeles, LeBron James says the same thing, but he didn't take less in Los Angeles. They didn't necessarily he gave a little discount, maybe a haircut, enough to sign Bronny. But this is I can't get over. This is like you just shaved all the hair off. This is that's $15 million less a year.
And Amen Thompson is one of the players that's coming up for a big extension. Right. They already have Sengun locked in. Tari Eason, we'll see if they get an extension done today. Those conversations, it doesn't seem like to me like they're as close as maybe people might think. We'll see what happens there. But overall, I think Rafael Stone, what he's done building this team with all these young players, Kevin Durant taking this amount is so this core and these young players can stay together.
And also, he doesn't know he took a discount, but he's never made money like Kevin Durant does, right? And I always think with players, Kevin Durant's worth every penny. LeBron James is worth every penny, but especially even at their age, they're still worth every penny. But the fact that he's taking less so that Amen Thompson can get more, Tari Eason can get more, that says a lot in terms of leadership.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that the first game is in Oklahoma City.
Oh, yeah.
Because to me, that's where the legacy should be.
Yeah. Schedule makers knew what they were doing.
Yeah. I mean, and I wonder if there's ever going to be a kumbaya meeting with them, the same way with Melo with the Nuggets. It's been bad there in the past since he's left. But I'd like to see his jersey retired there. But Houston gives him an opportunity, like I said, to put a stamp, possibly try to bring him a championship, and raise his name up in one place where at the end of it, perhaps we say him as a Rocket.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's take a look around the rest of the West here, because this weekend, ESPN experts released this season's Basketball Power Index, or BPI. It's a formula that measures the strength of a team's offense and defense, predicting future performance based on how many points above or below average a team is. Here's how the West looks like. OKC, obviously, is at the top by a significant margin, followed by the Nuggets, the Rockets, and the Clippers in the top 4. Check this out. The Lakers came in at 8th, just below the Grizzlies before this season tips off. Now, health is a factor, and this shows you how important LeBron will be to their success. 8th in the West would have the Lakers likely in the play-in. So, Ramona, where do you have the Lakers in the West at this point?
A little higher than that. I mean, 8th would have them in the play-in, but I'm not sure that they're not a 6 or 7, with 7 still in the play-in.
Right.
And it's
so close.
It depends on how they start this season, right? They have a relatively easy start to the season. Usually all their games are backloaded into the national TV games when you get to February and March and April. But if they get off to a bad start, they get off to, like, let's say they go 6-18 or something before LeBron James comes back from this back injury, things could get really yucky for them. But they also are built around Luka Doncic now. And if they get off to a great start without LeBron James, that changes the conversation in LA too.
Well, look, let's tackle the first part of it, because, Shams, we know that the West can be unforgiving. So health obviously is the most important factor for this team.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm keeping my eye on LeBron James's health, to be specific, and he's been doing some more on the court over the last few days, but I would still look at mid-November as really the earliest timing for LeBron James to return. But this is someone, when healthy, top 10 to 15 player in the league. Yep. They need LeBron James if this team is going to truly contend.
And maybe we can throw that graphic up again, but Mark, you saw the graphic a second ago. Who's being slept on in the West?
There's some shade in Minneapolis, man.
Okay.
Shade in it. These guys have been to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. Ant-Man, are you seeing this, Ant-Man?
Uh-oh.
Ant-Man, Rudy, are you seeing this?
Yeah.
McDaniels, Conley, y'all being disrespected. That's something that they need to have on their bulletin board every day when they walk in.
Right, back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances.
Yeah, and now you got them 5th. I'm really curious to see.
Clippers are pretty high in
Timberwolves-
this, and I think the Warriors are a little low.
They went to the West Finals 2 years in a row, and they're 5th. That's shade.
Okay.
I want to, but you know what?
What?
Prove us wrong.
Yeah, right. We'll see.
Prove us wrong.
I actually think the Mavs could end up being a little higher, depending on what happens. What happens here? Now we have breaking news here. So, Shams, what do we got?
Dyson Daniels, the Hawks' two-way stalwart guard. He was the defensive player of the year, runner-up, all defensive first team, as well as the most improved player of the year. He's reached agreement 4 years, $100 million rookie contract extension. His agent Daniel Moldeman tells me here today, and so he becomes the second player to reach a rookie contract extension today. I think the number is 8 in total as of right now. Christian Braun earlier agreed to a 5-year, $125 million deal. Now Dyson Daniels. Think about the success he had last year next to Trae Young.
Yeah.
They acquired him in the DeJounte Murray trade, and now here a year later. In New Orleans, he was injury plagued. He was going through ups and downs there. He ends up having an injury-free year last year. Plays at a tremendous level defensively. 3 steals per game. Off the top of my head, I don't know when the last time, I think, I had it in front of me. Been a while.
Yeah.
Gary Payton, the last guy to have as many steals.
That's the number, though, isn't it? $25 million. Everybody's getting $25 million a year.
And by the way, he said, there might have been like some voodoo or something, or curse going on in New Orleans. Those are his words, not mine, New Orleans. All right, still to come here on NBA Today. Tim Legler's Coach's Corner. Almost time for the real games to begin. Season tips off tomorrow. But first, let's go coast to coast around the association. First up, we head to Sacramento, where Russell Westbrook spoke to the media for the first time since signing with the Kings. Let's take a listen.
honestly, man, I haven't practiced yet, and I haven't been able to kind of get on the floor, but things will find its way and figure it out. My job is to be able to come here and find ways to be able to help the organization, help the team in any way I can, and I'll do that.
This is your 18th season. Is it possible this is the last year in the league for you?
All right.
There it is. Russ had himself a weekend. Not only did he recreate his famous meme, but he joined his new teammates in the annual Kings Fan Fest at Golden One Center. Mark, how do you expect Russ to impact the Kings?
Well, they are super excited to get him. In fact, I talked to Scott Perry, the GM, today, and he said Sabonis. Remember, Sabonis played with him in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Zach and DeRozan, fought to get him on this team in July. So also B.J. Armstrong worked with him at Wasserman. He has some great relationships there. And they really expect Russ to add some intensity to this team that's much needed.
All right, moving on to Milwaukee, where the Bucks held their annual open practice over the weekend. Giannis was in midseason form, throwing down several monster dunks. After practice, he talked about how good the Bucks could be this season. Let's check it out.
We're going to be a problem. We're going to be a problem. We're going to be dangerous. The team is set up in a way that is very, very dangerous. We have a lot of shooting. We have a lot of playmakers and ball handlers. We have a lot of defenders. We can switch. We have an incredible big that can space the floor and be a problem defensively. We are set up exactly how you need to set up to make a statement.
So Giannis sounds confident in his squad, but Ramona, how much of a problem will the Bucks be for the rest of the East?
Look, I bought a ticket on the Amtrak going to Milwaukee a little while ago. It was not as expensive, but I agree with Giannis. I think they're going to be better than people think. I like the Miles Turner acquisition. I like everything they did in the offseason, except the fact that they're not probably good enough to get out of the second round. But all that said, I like that he's saying this because he's speaking it into existence. He's trying to set a tone for this team. He's saying, this is what I think. I'm trying to tamp down on some of the off-season speculation or maybe in-season, depending on how they do.
All right, let's head back to college, where freshman phenom A.J. Debinsa scored 30 points in BYU's 90-89 loss to Nebraska.